In today's news, authorities weigh in on the consequences of a proposed lockdown for Bangkok. Pro-democracy demonstrators gathered to mark the 89th anniversary of the Siam Revolution, and Thailand's Prime Minister orders an investigation into alleged corruption over the extremely fancy street lamps in Samut Prakan. Details on these stories coming right up. Sawadee krap, you're watching Thailand News Today, and we'd like to thank Suresh Singh for supporting the channel as a Thaiger legend. You can be one too by hitting the join button to become a member. As for the news, the CCSA today says they're resisting calls for a 7-day lockdown for Bangkok as cases in the capital and neighbouring provinces keep rising. Yesterday, Thailand reported 3,174 new infections and a record high of 51 deaths. Today, there's been another 31 deaths and 4,108 new COVID cases. But the CCSA now says the pros and cons of locking down the capital need careful consideration, a slightly different tone from the headline in the Bangkok Post this morning, headlined Lockdown Plan. CCSA spokesman Dr. Tawisin Wisanuyotin says while the lockdown suggestion was discussed at yesterday's weekly meeting, there is a risk that closing businesses would result in large numbers of workers traveling home to the provinces, possibly spreading the virus further. He added that targeted lockdown measures implemented in places like construction camps are not as easy to impose on the capital as a whole. While the bubble and seal measures proved successful in the central province of Samut Sakhon, the CCSA believes the larger population in Bangkok, spread across many locations, would make it more difficult to implement similar measures. With ongoing calls from Pattaya bar and nightclub owners to reopen, the Chon Buri governor has addressed the business owners, saying restrictions and disease control measures will stay the same for now, as the province still has a number of COVID-19 cases, mostly clustered at markets, factories, and construction sites and migrant worker dormitories. The governor says many businesses in the entertainment and nightlife industries have been sending letters and even meeting with him in person, begging to reopen their businesses. He says Pattaya in particular has been hit hard by closures in the nightlife sector, and we have heard the pleas of business owners loud and clear, but we simply cannot relax restrictions at this time with so many cases and a lack of vaccine supplies. 142 new cases were reported yesterday, a total of 6,700 cases reported in the recent wave of infections in a province of around 1.5 million people. Today, the case numbers have risen again to 254, with another 2 deaths for the province. The governor says the vaccine rollout and supply for the province has been a major issue up to date. Hundreds of pro-democracy demonstrators gathered at Democracy Monument in Bangkok this morning to mark the 89th anniversary of the Siam Revolution in 1932, when Thailand lurched from its history as an absolute monarchy into a modern constitutional monarchy. Last year's protests used the 1932 revolution as inspiration for the demands for a new constitution and reform of the country's head of state. Police have spent the earlier part of this week trying to dissuade protesters from the gatherings today, warning that they'd be violating the emergency decree forbidding mass gatherings. Well, that's the definition of protest anyway, violating authority. A total of 2,550 police were deployed today to ensure law and order at the gatherings and rallies. The Metropolitan Police Bureau advised Bangkok motorists to avoid 11 city roads as well.
Want to keep up to date with what's happening in Thailand? Download the Thaiger app. It works on both Android and Apple. And it's free. All the latest news, videos, and information at one click from your phone. Go to your Play Store or App Store and download now.
Police have identified the shooter who fired shots at a Pathum Thani hospital, killing a COVID-19 patient early this morning. At around 3:30 a.m., the 23-year-old gunman dressed in a camouflage outfit with a red beret first shot a glass door at the front of the Prince Mother National Institute on Drug Abuse Treatment just north of Bangkok. The door, which had been locked, shattered, and then the gunman entered the building. He opened fire and shot a patient who was walking out of the restroom. The 54-year-old patient later died. The gunman fired more shots as he moved through the ward of the 5-story building. Surveillance camera footage shows the gunman entering the building with a gun in his hand. His identity has been revealed as a man who served as a private in a special warfare unit in Chon Buri, central Thailand. He was dismissed in November of 2019. As of just a few hours ago, police confirm that the man has been arrested. Thailand's Prime Minister has ordered an investigation into the alleged corruption over decorative street lamps in Samut Prakan. The Thai-style lamps have also appeared lining the streets in other provinces around the country over the past year. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has ordered the investigation into local governments for the purchase of 600 street lamps featuring the Kinari, which is an animal-human hybrid mythical figure. Clearly, these are no ordinary street lamps. The Rasha Thewa Administrative Organization is accused of blowing through over 642 million baht to install merely 6,773 lamps, 600 of which are solar-powered. That's a whopping 94,800 baht per street lamp. These lamps better be able to mine Bitcoin or something. Despite the swirling lamp-centered controversy, another 684 million baht has been approved by the local government for 720 more street lamps. Critics sounded off on Twitter to lambaste the expensive purchase as the country struggles with a new wave of COVID-19. As of now, the purchase has been frozen while an investigation takes place, but the local government is seemingly confident of the outcome of the investigation already, claiming that no corruption will be found. Samut Prakan isn't the only province to be embroiled in a lamp-based controversy. Hat Yai, a city in the southern province of Songkhla, is also in the midst of its own lamp controversy. The Thaiger will shine more light on this story as it develops. The governor of Phuket says provincial officials are creating a command center for the purpose of tracking and tracing foreign tourists under the island's sandbox scheme. The island reopens in a week's time to vaccinated tourists from low to medium risk countries in a plan called Sandbox. Governor Narong says a meeting was held yesterday between officials and Operations Center officers who plan to use Phuket Smart City technology to monitor the movements of international arrivals. Narong himself has been appointed incident commander, with various government agencies, military officers, and the police contributing to the tracking of foreign tourists and Thai people who arrive on the southern island as part of the planned reopening. Narong says the center will be connected to all immigration checkpoints, Phuket International Airport, and public services on Phuket. The governor says all of the visitors' data and identification will be tracked and recorded in the Mochana application. The governor adds that from July the 1st, all immigration checkpoints will be equipped with the necessary technology to screen people as they arrive in a bid to control the spread of COVID-19 on the island. The first lots of Sinopharm doses ordered by the Chulabhorn Royal Academy have passed quality checks and can now be distributed in Thailand. 1 million doses of the second Chinese vaccine approved for emergency use in Thailand arrived in the kingdom on June the 20th and was then checked for quality before being able to be distributed. Late last month, the Chulabhorn Royal Academy announced its intention to purchase the Sinopharm doses to distribute to the private sector and local administrative organizations. According to a statement on the Academy's Facebook page, the CRA plans to use 6,337 organizations to distribute Sinopharm doses to nearly 780,000 recipients by August. Last night in northern Thailand, sounds like an explosion were heard while many witnessed a mysterious greenish turquoise glow streaking across the skies above. Scientists expect it may have been a bright type of meteor called a bolide. The National Astronomical Research Institute of Thailand explained that the sights and sounds many observed and some photographed were likely this unusually bright type of meteor tearing through the Earth's atmosphere. Bolide, from the Greek word for missile, is a term used to describe especially bright meteors that streak through the sky. The meteor was seen traveling from west to east in the skies last night above northern provinces of Thailand. The explosion sounds were reportedly heard in Chiang Mai, Lampang, Lamphun, Mae Hong Son, and Phayao provinces. And that's all for the news. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest explosive, glowing, and ever exciting news stories in Thailand. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to Tim in the comments and have a wonderful day. Sawadee krap.